Welcome to It Takes Two. I'm Blair.
I'm Chris.
And today we'll be talking about Real Housewives of Atlanta, Season 16, Episode 11.
Let's get straight into it. Subscribe, like, share, comment, all the above. Let's go, Blair.
All right. So Charles and Angela go out. We learn, of course, we know he's a retired basketball player, but he's also doing some coaching and he has a car wash business.
Okay.
They have this banter back and forth that she says is their love language. He says that it's not. She tells him that she needs to talk to her sister. So things got heated between her sister and her daughter Amari, and the sister didn't appreciate anything Angela has done for her so far. Charles handles things by walking away from his family, but Angela wants to try to meet with her mom to see if she can start that way to try to make some peace.
Well, let me start with the family. Charles probably walks away from his family because he's probably the one who makes the money in the family. Right. So it's probably easy for him to be like, you know what? It is what it is. Y'all can handle it yourselves. I'm out. I got my own life and things of that nature. It probably won't be a lot of times that he will probably need something financially from his family. So he have the freedom to walk away from his family. I don't know if Angela have the freedom to walk away from her family. I think she has the freedom because Charles give her that freedom, maybe because, you know, we heard that she's $2 million in debt. That's why Charles like, you ain't getting this wedding until you start selling some of these houses. Even though I can agree with Charles in some factors in the way of like, hey, it is what it is with my family, I don't care. I do think that she should make some attempt to at least reconcile with her family since it's early on. Don't let things grow to where now the bridge is completely burnt. Now to talk about their banter, if that's not y'all banter of y'all love language right here, what is y'all love language then? You get what I'm saying? Because there is I have no problem with banter, to be honest, but there is a line to where it can kind of becomes like, okay, do you like me though? You get what I'm saying? And Charles teetered on that line. You get what I'm saying? Because I think it was a scene to where it was the confessional, and I think the producer was trying to get him to say, I love you, Angela, or basically like, what do you love about Angela? And it's like, if you ain't gonna really make Charles say anything. So I should kind of see how that can make some people feel uncomfortable, because if they're not used to that type of personality, it can be off-putting. But even I can say, hey, Charles, you got to give us something that we can latch on to let us know that you do love Angela in some way. You get what I'm saying? Maybe he sees it as I give you my money to blow and to be in debt in. So I don't know.
Yeah, and she did ask him for a kiss, and he was even asking like, well, why do you want me to give you a kiss? You know? And to me, like, he's just like a curmudgeon. Like, he's just a grumpy old man. You know what I'm saying? And I think that when their relationship, like, however their relationship works, it works for them. Yeah. Some old school guys are providers and not the emotionally intelligent type. I'm not saying that is Charles, but there's a lot of older black men like Charles who are married and take care of their families, and they, you know, have good relationships. Do I think that I would want to be in a relationship with somebody who can't show affection? No. But at the end of the day, that's their situation. I do think, however, that a big part of it is the cameras. I don't think he likes filming. I think most of the time on a lot of these shows, these husbands aren't into the cameras. They're not into doing stuff for the camera. They're not into saying stuff for the camera. They're not into putting their love and their affection on display. It's like, they're just like, I'm here. That part. Yeah, I'm already here for you. I already showed up to film for you. Now you want me to do extra, you know? And I don't know why some guys just have like that block to where they can't just be natural, you know? But that's kind of how I see it.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you right there, that last part. He don't have a problem with cameras. He's been around cameras his whole life. It's that showing affection on camera. Yeah. Because Charles Oakley, he has a reputation as being the enforcer. Basically, like when on a basketball team, there's an enforcer on the team, meaning that, hey, you're not going to punk our guys. He's basically known as, like, you know, rough and tough. So to see Charles Oakley as in like Charles Oakley lovey-dovey on camera, that would be completely opposite of what we've seen since the 80s with Charles Oakley. So I agree with that. I do think it's something across the line of like, he ain't showing no PDA on camera at all.
And I do think people differ in the amount of affection that they show. And I think that with guys, specifically black men, a lot of the times I feel like the way that they're grown up, they're shown not to they are taught not to show emotion and not to show affection. And I feel like some women are able to navigate that and still know that they're loved. And I think that some guys learn how to meet their partner where they're at, still not necessarily as affectionate as maybe they would like, but it's enough to where they feel like they're getting their needs met in the relationship.
Yeah,
So
I agree.
So Cynthia and Shamia meet up.
Okay.
Shamia was blindsided by her issue with Porsha. She would never give these ladies room to put their relationship on the line. She thought that Porsha would discuss things with her in private if there was a real issue. So the women talked to Shamia about how Porsha isn't a good friend to her, but Shamia says that she's always stood up for the friendship, even if it doesn't look that way at times. Cynthia said that she is, in her situation with Nene, she was there for her no matter what, no matter how bad Nene dragged her. Shamia told her it's just difficult sometimes because Porsha's mom will say little things and has commented about her, like, basically the apple doesn't fall far from the tree because Miss Diane and Shamia's mom were friends at one point. They had a fallout. She doesn't go into explain what the fallout was about, but Diane is always in Porsha's ear about how Shamia is jealous or isn't a good friend. Yeah. So Shamia loves Porsha. She loves their friendship, and she is hoping that they can get back on track.
Last episode, I sent out my apologies to my wife, number one, and of course I sent one out to Rodney the Voice. I let y'all know that Christopher is a fool, right? But there is... Am I going to come in this episode and defend Porsha? Because I'm almost there, right? Not so much of defending Porsha for her actions, because we're going to see at the end of the episode really how Porsha character is, right? But Shamia, you said that y'all talk about this stuff before. And also we saw at the end of that episode of what I think that you think what it means, talking about it means. And if that's the definition that you believe is talking about, that is not talking about it, Shamia. And now I'm kind of on the line of, Shamia, why bring all this up on camera now? She's been a bad friend, right? What is the initiative? I mean, not initiative, but really, what is the, what are you trying to get out of this? Because I did say something in the after party of last week, or the after show rather, to where I was like, I want to know why now. Why things coming to basically the brim, to like the brim, to where now you can't take it. Now you just want to talk about it. Now I want to fix the friendship. And even when you try to initiate a conversation at the end, it wasn't really a conversation. So now I see her talking about it with Cynthia and things of that nature. Talk about, I was a good friend and things of that nature. And I'm just like, I understand that, but it was all fun and games just a week ago. It was all fun and games when you was posting pictures sitting on this girl's lap, acting like a lap dog and things like that. So that I'm like, what is it now? Now that we got the cameras, now that you got your peach, now that we actually get to see what's going on, we've been telling you, Candy's been telling you, everybody on the cast been telling you who Porsha was, and guess what? Porsha haven't changed. She's been consistent. So I just want to know why now, and maybe down the line in this episode, I will figure it out.
Yeah, I guess for me, I think that Shamia had no intention of bringing all this stuff up. I think that she had a conversation off camera with the ladies, and with the clips that they showed, the women are quick to tell Shamia, Portia's acting funny towards you. Yeah. And I can believe that the women were talking to her and asking her questions just the same way when Kelly asked Shamia, why did Porsha take that man? Like, people do approach her with questions about her best friend. Yeah. And so I can definitely see there being a conversation to where she may have said certain things did affect her, but we're on a good page, and with that being said, Angela bringing things to the forefront, she can't just not talk. She can't be like Porsha in a way that something happened and now we sitting on mute and acting like what happened didn't happen. That's now true. She has to have the conversation. And to me, I can see why she would do it at this point, because there's no getting around it now. The producers need y'all to address this. Yeah. And it's part of the story.
I guess with me, do you think there's a deadline, or maybe deadline is the wrong word, but do you think there's like a time period to where, hey, if you don't talk about this issue, let's say something that happened over a decade ago or something that happened years ago, that if you bring it up like currently, do you think like that's kind of like not off-putting but kind of weird in a way?
I don't think it's weird, because I think that Shamia has had conversations with Porsha over the years. Okay. I don't think that this was an ambush the way that Porsha put it. I feel like Porsha has probably known that she was unhappy happy in certain occasions. When we look back on old episodes and Porsha talking about how she couldn't get on the plane, Shamia was visibly upset and told Porsha she was upset that she wasn't coming to her wedding. So Shamia has talked to her and had these conversations with her, but there is never a resolve.
That's true.
You know?
Yeah, but I'm gonna get into Shamia at the end of this episode because as Angela says something in the after show that let me go, I didn't think of it that way.
Yeah, but I will say I get where some people are coming from. Well, Shamia shouldn't have said anything to the ladies. She's trying to flip it on Porsha because she talked bad about her. Now Portia's upset.
I ain't going that far.
And my perspective on that is that if Shamia had said nothing about Porsha, in that case, there really would be nothing to take back to Porsha. But Shamia also doesn't have to lie about the state of their friendship and what's happened in the friendship.
I do agree
like
with that.
You can talk to people and say, hey, we've had some rough patches, and be honest in your communication about what's been going on, but still, like, you're still not dragging the person. So I don't really take that too seriously.
Okay.
So Cynthia, Angela, and Porsha go bowling. They tell Angela no bumpers.
Oh man,
I'm okay with bumpers.
We'll go over there with the kids then. Okay.
Porsha talks about how PJ is doing. How she's been really attached to her, and it really dawned on Porsha that she's not used to me leaving the house and going to work. So PJ asked where Simon was. She texted him that, PJ wanted to see him. He left him on red. And every day he finds a way to try to wreck her life. Okay. She starts crying, and Porsha can admit that she's not strong enough to take on the Shamia conflict right now. She doesn't like hearing that she's a bad friend, and going through this divorce, she probably isn't 100% of what her friends need for her right now.
Porsha, we already heard the story. We already heard about how Simon is dragging you. So if this is your definition of, okay, I will share something about my divorce with y'all here, no, you can take that back. We already had that months ago about this whole how Simon's leaving y'all on red and he ain't responding to no text messages, but yeah, he's out over here trying to ruin your life. This whole relationship that you're trying to build with this stepfather with PJ and Simon thing is weird. Stop talking about it on camera, in my opinion, with this whole thing of where's Papa? Is Papa coming home? Stop it, please. Right? Porsha is trying to use literally anybody and everybody, even down to her own flesh and blood, to basically talk about how they feel about the divorce. PJ ain't married to that man. PJ's a kid. PJ got a whole father that's in her life, right? So this whole thing of you trying to put 20 on 10 on PJ feel this way, how you feel, Porsha? What are you doing? You get what I'm saying? Besides this whole, woe is me, and I don't really have the bandwidth to deal with what's going on with Shamia, and I'm probably not a good friend to everybody. Well, we're not asking you to be friends to everybody. We talking about the ones that you claim to be best friends with on the show. That's all. That's literally it.
Yeah, for me, Porsha says she's going to give us this one story, and that's all she got for us.
Yeah, that's all she got for us.
She is not going to tell us anything about this divorce, and I get some folks want to say, well, maybe she can't talk about it. It's an open case. And Sorry, that's how y'all sound to me. Okay. To me, I'm just like, but she can talk about how is she doing emotionally, like what it feels like with Simon being online, like what conversations she's had with her family about this, like, all of the different things of her day to day of how the divorce is affecting her. Yeah. It's like she doesn't want to talk anything about it. All she can say is that PJ misses him. Do you miss him? Exactly. Do you still want to be with him? Like, do you wish this divorce wasn't happening, or was it really just about the money?
How is your money, by the way? You get what I'm saying? Like, those little things. Honestly, when it comes down to Simon and when it comes down to PJ and their relationship and how she sit on his lap and how she's viewing him as pop and dad, things like that, I'm uncomfortable with that. I really don't like hearing about stuff like that. Just listen, keep kids out of it completely. PJ ain't got no peach. I don't need to hear about PJ. Okay, let's hear about you, Porsha. Okay. Yeah.
So Drew goes to her lawyer's office. Well, she's leaving. Yeah. She ends up calling her mom. Apparently, Ralph and his lawyer are trying to get her lawyer taken off of her case. So he is claiming to be rightful owner of Sidora LLC. Her lawyer created a new company during the time of the divorce to try to get him, or to try to shut down Sidora and get her own company. But he wants portion of both companies. Okay. We also learned that he changed the security system. She was locked out of the house. She had to go to the hotel. And the next day, he had to let her in the front door. And the mom says that he doesn't even know how he's affecting the children.
Drew is affecting the children too. Like this is foolishness on both parents, right? Here's the thing about it, right? I honestly can't even tell you what the heck is going on with this divorce thing, because it seems like Drew is adding. I feel like Drew knows everything that is going on in the divorce. This is my opinion. I could be wrong, but I'm fine with that. I feel like she knows every aspect of what's going on in the divorce, but she's only giving us piece by piece in episode. So when we hear little things, it's kind of like how did this even make sense? But you kind of got to go back episodes to kind of like try to put the puzzle together and things like that. I don't understand how he changed the security code. I thought it was your lock. I thought you was paying the bills, Drew. I don't even see how it gets to the point where he could change it and he got to let you in, and now you talking about, well, he better go back in the base. It just seems like all of it is weird, and at the end of the day, we cannot just put it on one person as in this person is affecting the family. You let this divorce get so out of hand that the judge, by your word, had to tell y'all to communicate through an app, through a middleman. So everybody, all parties involved have to take accountability in this, because at the end of the day, this is not the judge's kids. These are your kids. So there was a way that y'all could have did this where the kids could have been protected, but y'all chose not to. So I really can't feel any empathy or sympathy towards it. Just get divorced and get it as quick as possible. You get what I'm saying?
Well, I guess for me, that I think divorces can be drawn out and get ugly because people are so angry and emotional and they want to hurt each other. Mm-hmm. So I'm not putting it totally on either party. I think that it's a collaboration of the both of you guys making it difficult. I will say that the way that Drew is telling it from her perspective, Ralph is trying to create barriers and hurdles for her every single step of the way. Fact. And her having to navigate that is definitely going to be hard. But I also am for people taking ownership and the reins in their own life. Yeah. I think that being in a house with him is a stressful situation. Fact. If Drew is a successful lady and works and does all these types of things, is it bad to get an apartment? So that way you don't have to live with this man.
That is true.
I understand that people say like, oh, well, I don't want to give him the house. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. Do you want your peace of mind? Like, do you want to be able to start fresh? And not to say to give it to him, definitely allow the course to divvy it up how it needs to. But you're going to subject yourself to having to knock on your front door because he decides to change the security codes, which I can get why. I mean, he lives in the house. This is his home. I'm sure he has the access and knows how to do all those things. But I think that at some point, if you're going through something very stressful and difficult, like where can you create a pocket of peace for yourself? And I feel like Drew isn't doing any of that. Maybe she's trying in her own way, but I'm just like, it just seems like you're battling him every step of the way, which I feel like you should do in court. But if there's any way that you can separate yourself, you can. And I don't see her doing that. But at the end of the day, I think that Ralph is also the one being like overbearing and trying to hurt her. So I'm not like saying she's wrong for how she's going about things, but I think that they both could go about handling this in a more mature way. So
listen here, you're not wrong when you're right. Listen, I'm not even over here trying to defend Ralph. I think, Ralph, it is your fault. The same way as I can look at Drew and say, hey, Drew, you're not powerless in this, right? The same way as Blair can easily say that, hey, how about you get yourself a nice place, at least a place where you ain't got to leave every week of things of that nature to where you got to give the house to somebody. But the thing about it is, it just comes off as, Drew, you're acting too powerless. And even though there are some factors that the judge put in place, there are some autonomy you still have, and when it comes to your peace, you have full control of that. And it may take a little condo in the city to be like, you know what, me and my kids go live here until we actually get this settled and things like that. And maybe that could be the motivation enough for him to stop acting like a fool. I don't know. I'm really kind of tired of this Drew divorce thing, because this may come off as, I have a feeling that this gonna be Drew's story as long as she's on the show.
And also the thing of them having to sit up and argue about who's going to call pest control.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of like, so do y'all just take everything in front of the judge because y'all arguing about everything? And I'm just like, and it very well could be that Ralph is just always going to say something opposite of her. So I'm not putting it against her that maybe they do need to take every little thing to the judge because he's going to do the opposite of whatever the most peaceful route is. But at the end of the day, I'm just kind of like, well, is there anything you can do to try to separate yourself or give yourself some peace in this situation? I don't know.
And that's probably what it is. It feels like two kids.
Yeah.
And I'm not interested in watching kids on TV, to be honest. So whenever I see Drew and Ralph talk about their marriage on TV or their divorce, it just comes off as two kids, and I'm not interested in it. Sorry.
So Angela meets with her mom.
Yeah.
She considers it an honor to take care of her mom. It's something that she's always wanted to do.
Okay.
So the mom apparently got the keys to a new house, and Angela asks, okay, what happened to the house I got you?
Yeah.
She just wants to be more self-reliant, and she wants to move out of that home. Angela is happy that, you know, she doesn't have the responsibility of taking care of them, but that's kind of what she always wanted to do for her mother.
Stop right there for a second. If that was you, put yourself in Angela's shoes. How would you feel about that if your mother comes to you and say, hey, I got keys to my new house, after you brought her a house that she was living in, that, you know, your dream, and granted, it's a dream that your mother knew, that, hey, I want to take care of you. How would you feel about, hey, I got a new house?
Yeah, I'd probably be a little hurt.
A little hurt.
Yeah, I probably would be a little hurt because I did this for you. I wanted you to be comfortable. I didn't want you to have to pay a house note or, you know, worry in any type of way. And it just kind of seems like, you know, kind of bump whatever I did for you.
Facts.
But I do think that the bigger part of it is that the sister lives with the mom. And with the sister living there and the conflict within the family, I think that there's more intricacies at play as far as Angela taking care of her mom, but here I am inadvertently taking care of my sister because apparently she can't get no job or get her own place.
Yeah, I was going to ask, well, let me answer my question to you. I would feel offended, right? I would feel offended if it was agreed that, hey, I take care of you, I brought you this house, so you can actually have peaceful living, right? But it's the idea that the mother said, basically to paraphrase, that, hey, I kind of want to be on my own. I kind of want to have, you know, my own autonomy and things like that, right? That kind of lets me go back and see, hold on, how is this dynamic with the mother, the granddaughter, and the sister and things like that? Hey, I have no problem with you buying me a house if you want to take care of me. But if you're making this a community living type of thing to where I really don't have no say who get to live in this house, then yes, I do want to move out and get my own house. And we already know that, hey, as we saw the flashbacks of Angela talking to her daughter and things like that, the daughter definitely feel entitled to basically her mother's stuff. So she could say things like, I was driving the car that you brought for, you know, my, so it's kind of like, if it's always thrown in the face that, hey, that even though you brought me this house for, you know, me as the mother, but it's always thrown around that, hey, this is not really my house, that this is your house, then yeah, I'm out. You get what I'm saying? If I don't have full autonomy, who get to live here? Okay, you brought me this house. Okay, okay, your daughter got to live here? Okay, that's fine. Okay, my daughter got to live here? It's like, this ain't really what I signed up for. You kind of signed me up for kind of like Section 8 type of living, community living. I'm not really with it, you know? So I can agree if the mother want to feel like I want say of who lives with me. If that means I have to pay a mortgage, I'll do it.
Yeah, so she also addresses the situation when her sister called her daughter a demon and her mom didn't step up. And the mom was pretty much like she was shocked. She didn't expect the sister to say that. She feels like her mom has rarely stood up for her. Her mom did stand up for her when a situation with Charles about cleaning the house. Yeah. And it's been 3 years and the mom still hasn't talked to Charles since then. She says that he is her son-in-law and she does want to reach out to him to try to mend things, even though they're probably about near the same age. Yeah.
And she was like, hey, do not come for the age of my husband.
Yeah. And we also learned recently that her mom passed away. So, you know, rest in peace to her. And hopefully Angela, their whole family, you know, has peace surrounding the loss of her mom. So,
Angela's mother passed away in real time.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Well, prayers to you. Because I was going to say, this story does sound kind of fishy about, hey, you talk about how much he's your son-in-law, but there was a falling out even 3 years ago to where, like, it's about cleaning. It just comes off as if, like, hey, Angela, you are giving us, I think you're giving us a vague story, and that's not really the true story. And I'm guessing because your mother passed away, unfortunately, we will never get the truth of what really happened in the falling out of your mother and Charles. But I will say that I do think there is some underlying issue with the auntie and her niece, which is Angela's daughter. And I really want to get down to it. You brought up something last episode to where we all...
Before you go on,
go ahead.
I do want to say that in one of the clips in the show, Angela was talking to her mom about how she never stood up for her when it came between her and her sister. So I think part of that, I mean, the aunt may have some type of animosity towards Angela, and it's trickling down to her daughter.
And I was going to bring up the whole fact that I think the demon child, or basically call her a demon, may have been motivated by whoever the daughter feel like she's in love with and things like that. But I think that may have been, based on everything that we're getting piece by piece, that may have just been the thing that just pushed her over the edge. That may not have been like, I could have already been feeling some type of way about your kid because I'm not really banging with your mother.
Right.
And now that you like whoever you like, you love whoever you love, you marry whoever you marry, now all of a sudden I'm like, you're a demon child. You get what I'm saying? But really, you really wasn't banging with me. But I do think both parties are really at fault at this because, number one, I'm never going to take accountability away from an adult, which is the aunt. You are the adult. You are the aunt. It's always your job to always keep the door open for reconciliation. I'm not saying you have to initiate it, but I'm just saying, like, you can't sit in the corner and pout. You know what I mean? While at the same time, your daughter, who is also an adult, Angela, needs to understand that even though Angela buys stuff and she brought things for the family, she's not entitled to it to just be like, well, this is my mother brought this house. My mother brought this car, so it's mine. No, it's your aunt's car. It's your grandmother's car and things like that. But hopefully we get to see more of that dynamic.
Yeah. So Kelly and Cha-Cha are teaching Chloe how to drive, her daughter.
Wow.
Kelly is very anxious. I mean, she's screaming and hollering the whole time.
Me too.
And it's also been exhausting carrying the whole family and restaurant on her back. They're talking about getting her daughter her first car, and Kelly is going to buy her a car, but Chloe's going to have to maintain the car. So Kelly also wants to open up the second restaurant, and she would like her daughter's input for the hiring process. The daughter also plans to work for the restaurant in the summer.
The way that the daughter was driving, the way that the daughter was not straight, she was on the line.
I was like, can she see the lines?
I'm like, don't buy her no car. Let's wait. Let's see how she rides a bike, because I don't think she rides in a straight line.
Yeah,
and things of that nature. Don't tell me you see it. And you're about to hit it. Right. You get what I'm saying? I see it, Mom. Well, get straight then. You get what I'm saying? So yes, it's gonna be stressful teaching a child how to drive.
Yeah, I thought it was a funny scene, but all that hollering, I feel, and I don't have a child. I don't have a child who's driving age, and I hope to goodness I'm not going to be the mom that's going to be screaming.
You're going to be yelling,
because I'm just like, I feel like screaming doesn't help. Like, you screaming can have her have a knee-jerk reaction to turn or press gas when she means to press brake. I'm like, you gotta calm down, or get a driver or somebody. Get somebody to help her learn how to drive.
But I'm scared. I'm not screaming because, I understand. I'm not screaming.
Hold it in.
I'm not screaming because I want to scream.
Hold it in.
No.
I feel like it makes it worse.
I'm not screaming because I want to scream.
Okay.
I'm legitimately scared for my life.
Okay.
So that is why I'm screaming, right? And you keep telling me you got it, but you keep doing new things to let me know that you don't have it.
And if you don't have it, you know what I'm going to say? All right, we're going to pull over in this parking lot. I'm driving us home.
Okay.
So Drew's mom visits her.
Uh-huh.
It's been 2 years of her going through this divorce, and it's overwhelming.
Yeah.
She is at war with Ralph right now, and if her attorney is removed from the case, she has to get a new one and essentially has to start over, and she already spent all this money on her attorney. The little good is that they are good co-parents.
I got a question about that. Does that sound kind of weird that, like, she got to get a new attorney? Like, I'm hearing more about it. I'm like, why do he get to recuse somebody from the case to where he like, I don't want her to be the
because issue? What the attorney did would I don't know if it is necessarily, but it could be constituted as conflict of interest of how you were trying to like close out one business and open up a new one under her name during the time of the divorce. Because usually a divorce, you have to like liquidate assets or have things or whatever the case may be. But you changing and opening new businesses during that divorce process, like could be looked at as like a conflict of interest.
Then I would say that, Drew, you shouldn't have had that lawyer to begin with. Like, I think a lawyer should know that. If that's the reason, then the lawyer should have known that and not to put you in this situation to where they can be potentially put off the case. Like that's weird to me, but okay, sure.
Yeah. So the mom says if you love the mother of your children, you wouldn't want to try to put them in a position to where they will be in a financial bind.
Mm-hmm.
So mom thinks the upstairs and downstairs situation is dumb, and she thinks that the kids are out of control. She's always yelling at them to stop, and they're not even listening to her. Drew starts crying because she didn't realize her kids were not the same, and the mom starts crying because she's upset that Drew has to go through this.
I'll let you go first.
Okay, so when I was watching the scene, when I saw, first of all, Drew's mother flew in to see Drew.
Yes.
And I was wondering, when was the last time she saw the kids?
Facts.
Because if you're flying in, you're not around every single day.
Facts.
Not to say that the kids aren't different, but are the kids older? Are the kids not 3 and 4? Like, you know what I'm saying? And also, Drew, you be around your kids all the time. You don't notice any changes or differences in them, and maybe it's one of those things to where you're close to it so you don't notice it. But if the kids aren't listening, is this a new thing, or is this something to where you just kind of let them get by and do whatever they do as long as you can go about your day and your life? So I think what mom is saying could very well be true, but it just gives me more questions than answers, because I'm just like, she's saying that, but she flew in, so how often is she really around these kids for them to even listen to her as an authority figure? You know.
Let me answer that for you right there.
Okay.
Right? She don't know.
All right.
Right. I think Drew has 2 children based on the video that we seen.
She has 3.
They only showed the 2 that I guess was bad behavior of this season. It was a 5-year-old daughter, right, where in my opinion she was acting like a 5-year-old, and an 8-year-old son. You get what I'm saying? So in the flashbacks that they shown of the bad behavior, it wasn't bad. Objectively, like, she was crawling on the table, tell her get off the table, she would get off the table. You get what I'm saying? So the whole idea to what Blair's point is why are you leaning on your mother, who don't live in the same state, right, to tell you how your kids are, and for you to be like, oh my goodness, I didn't know that they changed. You don't think that they are going to change, number one, by age? Number 2, they are in school, so they are going to pick up a whole bunch of personalities while they're trying to figure out their own or growing into their own. And number 3, you're going through a divorce.
Daddy's in the basement. This is weird.
So why are you getting emotional about this whole idea that, oh, my kids are changing, where literally you over here telling us that, oh, the kids may not know we're getting divorced, but they know daddy is in the basement and mom got to leave every other week. Like, it's like, Drew is like, are you involved in your own life to know that your life in itself is turned on its head?
But that's also where I think to myself, like, so Drew is meeting up with this life coach, Dr. Ken, and doing all this type of counseling and stuff for herself. And I'm just like, so when is she going to have her kids be counseled? If she knows that she needs it for herself, like, when is she going to have the kid? But my thing is, like, does she think that the kids are just unaware? Like, talk to your children. And I still think it's dumb that they can't talk about the divorce.
Yeah, so. and it's ignorant, right?
Yeah.
And I don't really believe that they can't talk about the divorce to the kids, to be honest. I'm not buying it. I'm sorry, right? Number 2, grandma, relax, right? Talking about, if I can't control a kid, then you know they're bad. I'm like, relax, because number 1, the last time you had a kid was when you was probably 20 years younger or 30 years younger, things like that, and the ways that you use to control the kids is probably outlawed today. You get what I'm saying? Maybe not, but I'm just saying, like, if you are not, what's the word, a common figure that they see because you live in the same city, you live in the same state and things like that, then guess what? Every time you see them, there is got to be a whole new relearning and things like that of, hey, sit down. The daughter's older, the sons is older, the children are older. So I'm not taking my mother or my father's word on how my kids are based on someone that don't live in the same state as them. Like it's just not what it is. I am the last say of how my children are. And Blair, you brought up a perfect point. Blair, Drew, how come you get the life coach? How come you get the therapist? How come you get all these people pouring into you, but your kids are the one that's going to be affected the most by a broken home? Why aren't you getting a jump start on therapy with them? Based on what they see, based on what they hear, based on what their school classmates are telling them, if they are telling them.
And that's the part where I kind of lean to the fact, like, is Drew taking the reins in anything that she could have power in? Like, it's just kind of like every decision is just kind of getting made for her. You know,
she won't even take the initiative of getting pest control. And Ralph is over here talking about Drew made up that pest control thing. It doesn't matter. The fact that y'all even talking about this on my TV screen is wild. I blame both of y'all.
Okay.
You get what I'm saying? But my thing is, Drew, you have responsibility and you have autonomy over your life. Okay, the judge said you can't do this, but the judge can't say you cannot take your kids to therapy. Take your kids to therapy to see what they are thinking.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? It just is what it is.
So Porsha and Shamia meet up.
Scene of the night.
Soon as Porsha sits down, her phone start ringing.
That is true.
And Shamia asks, "Is that your mom?" And she's like, "Yeah." She's gonna call her mom back. So Porsha says that she's been Shamia's secretly been expressing her feelings to the ladies, and it seems like, you know, Shamia wants to be heard by people, and Shamia says that her goal is to be heard today.
Okay.
Shamia apologizes for not being completely open about her feelings throughout the friendship. She feels dismissed when Porsha speaks over her or does little petty things.
Yeah.
Porsha takes a deep breath, a deep sigh.
Yes, she did.
And Shamia asks, "Am I boring you?" And Porsha says, "It's just an uncomfortable situation." Porsha says that she's trying to have a productive conversation, and Shamia says, "But the way that you're responding, the faces you're making, it's dismissive."
Yeah.
And Shamia says it hurts when Porsha says, "You know, my mom says not to trust you." Porsha says, "I'm just telling you what my mom said." And Shamia's point was like, "Well, I think that's why you pulled back from me, because of the things that your mom is putting in your head." Shamia wanted for them to have the same friendship off camera as on camera. Apparently she had a conversation with Porsha about it, and Porsha said, "Well, they're gonna have to pay me a lot more to do that."
Oh my gosh, Porsha, don't do that. Porsha say things that if I was executive, I'd be like, we might cut your pay based on what we thought that we was getting this season. You get what I'm saying? You're not even gonna give us your friendship?
Yeah.
Okay, word. Keep going.
But Porsha's response is Shamia isn't allowing her to be that type of friend on camera.
Okay.
She says this is scary, that the show has caused her to do this, and she has to get up, walk away, go to the bathroom.
Okay.
And she ends up coming back. Shamia says, "You know, it's not about the show for me." And Porsha says, "It's just a lot. Like Shamia, stop." And Shamia says that she's just trying to express herself. So when Porsha comes back, she wants to pack up the food and go. But Portia's like, "But I just wanted to like have a conversation. I don't know why you stopped talking." And Shamia was like, "You just told me to stop."
Literally.
But you know, she hates that they're kind of leaving without a resolve. And you know, Shamia is saying, you know, "I've asked you like what I did wrong. What did I do to you?" And Porsha says that she's just human. She's overwhelmed and she's trying to do the best that she can.
Yeah.
Shamia talks about how she usually masks her feelings because she knows that Porsha is often in a fragile state, but she would like Porsha to find the bandwidth to care about the things that affect Shamia. Porsha starts moving around silverware, collecting stuff around the table, and then she asks Shamia, "Okay, well, what can I do?" Shamia just wants Porsha to really hear her and to move forward in their friendship to where they can talk to each other freely and move forward honestly.
Yeah.
Porsha says, okay, you know, she doesn't want this to end their friendship. They love each other. They're not breaking up. They're going to move forward and talk to each other in the future.
Yeah.
Shamia in the confessional felt like she was heard. Porsha said that she never begged so much for an ambush to stop, and she wants to get in a better place so they can just move on.
Well, let's go back to the topic, go through this scene. First of all, I just want to address the mother real quick. I think it's very weird to where if I'm best friends with you, Blair, right? And my mother says something about you, right? Why am I telling you that? Especially if I do not agree with it.
Yeah.
And especially if you're my best friend, right? There's ways that I could correct my mother. There's ways that I could be like, oh, don't say that, knowing and respecting the fact that she may have had a falling out with her friend, but I don't have to bring everything that my mother tells me to my friend, especially if it's negative. And I feel like that's intentional on Porsha's part. I'm going to address that too. Yeah, go ahead.
So I feel like some people are too controlled by their parents and their parents' opinions.
Okay.
And Porsha is a 40-something-year-old grown woman.
Yeah.
And I think that if your mom has an opinion of your friend, I think that matters more at like 15 to 16 years old. But as you've gotten to know this person and done life with this person, your perspective should be the one that stands out the most.
Exactly.
So for Porsha, and I think that some people are just easily manipulated, and I don't know if that's Porsha per se, but it seems like whenever the newest information is, whether it's true or not, Porsha will run with it and it'll start to seep into her brain as fact.
Yeah.
And I think that's unfortunate because you've had a relationship with this girl and she's shown up for you in all these different ways. And you go to tell her that my mom said this about you. I don't care what your mom had to say about me. I'm 45, raising a child and 2 children, one with special health needs. I can't really care about what your mama thinks about me. What do you think about me, friend?
Whole time.
And also the whole thing with her mom calling, and it could be very well that her mom was just calling to check on her, but I also think sometimes just the way that we saw with Brittany, when her husband was calling when she was out with her sister, and how it's kind of like a control factor. I think that could be some type of a control factor of her mom calling and texting and stuff like that when you know she's going to be out with this person, so that way you can have some type of influence on the moment. You know what I'm saying?
Right there. I tell you exactly what happened.
Yeah.
What happened was the mother was trying to get in touch with Porsha before she got there. But she was already there. So she couldn't really say what she wanted to say to influence her, because I'm sitting right in front of her. Let me call you back. I was too late. The one time you want to be on time, Porsha. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I thought that I could catch you while you in the car. But whole time it's like, oh, I see what you're saying right here. The mother was, why are you talking? I know for a fact that Porsha mom knew that they was meeting up.
Yes.
So like she was trying to get her little 2 cents in on how to control the conversation, what to say, to put little things in her head. But guess what? I'm already sitting in front of the woman. So now I actually got to operate in this conversation without any influence. I actually got to think for myself. I think that's what happened in that part.
And I think it's a manipulation tactic.
Of course. Now, here's the other things too, right? Let me talk about Shamia for a second in defense of her, right? Shamia, why are you so understanding? And don't call it loyalty. It's not loyalty, right? It's you're choosing to be a doormat for, or at least chose, because what we seen in this scene is different than what we seen in real time and how she's talking about the friendship. So I'm only talking about what we see on the show right now. Right? You're choosing to be a doormat. Don't call choosing a doormat loyalty, right? I understand. We saw also in this scene that they showed us that Shamia's trying to pick she's trying to pick a single for her album, for her EP or whatever, and she said, "I wish my best friend was here. I wish Porsha was here," and things like that. So we have seen scene on top of scene on top of scene. Me and Blair have reviewed this season throughout, and we even said, "Hey Porsha, one way to get through this season, if you don't want to talk about your divorce, let's see actual like y'all real friendship on the screen." We seen throughout this meeting right here that Shamia said, "I want the Porsha that's off camera on camera," and Porsha got the nerve to tell Bravo to their face they gonna have to pay me more.
No, she told Shamia that.
No. She told Bravo, because guess what? At the end of the day, right? Bravo heard her say they need to pay me more for them to see our real friendship.
Okay.
And that's wild to say. How are you gonna tell the people that hired you, right? They hired you to show your real life, right? Real life mean real relationships. Real relationship mean real friendships, right? Shamia is your real friend, right? How come we can't see your real friendship on camera? And you got the nerve to say they gotta pay me more for like they gotta pay me more for them to see that? Well, we're already not getting what we paid for in the first place when it comes to the whole Simon deal. So like I don't really understand the whole idea of why we are not getting the real Porsha, or at least to my understanding, 'cause I feel like this is the real Porsha, the Porsha that Shamia sees, right? I understand that Shamia is asking for a bandwidth that Porsha doesn't have because Porsha is going through so much, but Shamia, you're going through a lot too. Literally, you are going through doctor's appointment after doctor's appointment after doctor's appointment trying to get your child back on the right path and things like that. And at some point, I would think like, hey, aren't you going through a lot? Maybe you don't have the bandwidth either, Shamia, to be chasing after Porsha, trying to get her to be accountable to the friendship. I think in this point of Shamia's life, she should have been like, you know what? I'm going to let Porsha initiate all the reconciliation. I am not going to set up no meeting. I'm not going to tell her how I feel, because at the moment, I need to go to these doctor's appointments. I need to make sure that my husband good. I need to make sure I'm good. You get what I'm saying? So this whole even giving Porsha grace, which is a good character trait to have, even giving Porsha grace in the whole idea of, like, I understand you're going through a lot. No, Shamia, you're going through a lot too. And if you want someone to be there for you, you have to literally give them the freedom to be there for you or to not be there for you. Because I feel like if you did not initiate this conversation, or if Bravo didn't initiate this conversation, it wouldn't have happened. And if it wouldn't have happened, it wouldn't have been had, and we wouldn't have been friends. It's just that simple for me. Mm-hmm. What is your thoughts so far?
Yeah, my thoughts so far, number one, Shamia, I think that she could have been better with expressing her feelings to Porsha.
Yeah.
In the moment or even after the moment. She's talked about how the difference between me and you is that I'm not going to make a big deal out of every situation like you talking over my music. Mm-hmm. But the thing is, Shamia, if those are the things that stick with you and that do bother you, then it is better to bring that to Porsha rather than saying it to a friend or a sister or somebody to say, you know, Porsha did this thing and it bothered me. And I will say sometimes it's good to bounce back and forth with a trusted individual, not individuals, because then I feel like that's when it gets gossipy. Yeah. But if you bounce an idea back and forth with the individual to say, hey, this situation happened, I don't really know if I want to address it, what are your thoughts, then that can help you navigate a situation a little bit better. But I don't think it helps for Shamia to stifle her feelings in order for her to continue to be friends with Porsha. If you can't talk freely with your friend, then that's not a real friend, you know?
Facts.
And also when we go to Porsha, just the way that she's breathing, getting up, moving around silverware and all that type of stuff, honestly, to me, and I could be wrong, it could be Porsha just fidgeting because she's nervous, but I had seen somewhere, and I really can't place it, to where they're like, you know, if you're in your confessionals and you kind of mess up the audio, then they can't really use the clip in the show. And so I'm thinking to myself, is that why Porsha is clinking down metal and doing all this different type of stuff to jank up the audio so that the scene gets cut down? So that way there's not so much to be shown from this conversation. So, you know, maybe I'm thinking Portia's more of a mastermind than she is. Yeah, but I think that is a very real possibility. And I feel like, Shamia, you were not heard during this conversation. If these are the conversations that y'all have to where you feel like we talked about it, Porsha just said what she needed to say to shut you up, so that way y'all can move things under the rug and continue on in this toxic relationship.
And that's what I'm saying. I think I'm not buying the whole audio thing, because they have other audio like than just on a mic. They got like sound booms and things like that, and she gonna have to drop a bucket of forks for that to happen. And at the end of the day, I think, as much as I can say Porsha don't like uncomfortable conversations, I don't know if Shamia like uncomfortable conversations. She may be better at it than Porsha, but they both may be bad at it.
Right.
Because the fact that, Shamia, we did not get down, if the whole point of this conversation was to get down to the root of things, you only skimmed the top. You didn't get down to the root of it. The minute that Porsha started feeling uncomfortable, started crying, started talking about stop, you know, you stopped. Right. And now you over here telling us you feel like you was heard. And I was like, you wasn't, though. She literally was like, what do you want? There was no accountability. There was no apology. There was nothing that let us know or basically give us any hope that in the future there will be changed behavior.
But not even only that, like, there was nothing in the conversation to where Porsha could see Shamia's side. Like, there needs to be a little bit of acknowledgement that you see where she's coming from, or else you're going to keep doing the same things.
Facts.
You know?
And I really don't even understand Portia's stance of, you get told that you're being a bad friend to Shamia and you cry as if someone's attacking you. I would try to get clarity on why you feel like I'm a bad friend with an apology ready to be given.
And why do you feel like you can't come and talk to me?
Yeah, like,
you know,
so.
Yes, Shamia could have been more upfront and more direct.
Yeah.
But I feel like with Porsha, if you guys are real friends and your friend has been feeling this way but has been too afraid to talk to you, why are you afraid to talk to me? You can talk to me.
And listen, we definitely gonna do some deep dives, because Porsha definitely tried to post something on social media and delete it, and we're gonna talk about that. But my whole point is, I think this is a way to sabotage Shamia because she got a peach. Like, if Shamia is over here saying, I want the friend that I have for real off camera, on camera, and I'm not even going to give you resources, and that's me being your best friend on camera, then you're trying to sabotage me and my story to where I'll have limited resources. It's like, why can't I show my friendships on... It's like me and you being friends, and I'm not on the show, right? And now I finally get to be on the show with you, right? Who is the star or whatever. And now you get to say, well, they gonna have to pay me more if they want to see our real friendship. It's like, why now?
Yeah.
Like, they wasn't paying you more when you was bringing me on as friend of and things like that, and you was over here saying stories with Phaedra and things like that, and we gonna get to that. But my whole thing is like, why can't I show my real friendships now that I'm actually a full cast member on the show, and you are my real friend?
Yeah.
Well, they gotta pay me more. That is wild to say.
Yeah.
Anything else?
That's all I got.
Listen, we gonna talk about this on the after show. We gonna talk about this in some deep dive this week. Make sure y'all subscribe, like, share, comment, all the above, so y'all won't miss out. We see y'all.
Bye.